Good afternoon, students. We're going to be talking about how to tell time in Spanish. And the way we say, what time is it in Spanish would be, we say, ¿Qué hora es? Can you repeat after me, Judah?
¿Qué hora es?
¿Qué hora? And I gave you all a sheet like this, and it kind of gives you a lot of detail on how you would answer. So I'm going to try and explain that a little further, but I want you to look at your sheets so you can kind of follow along with reading the words. As you know, this is a round face clock. We don't have, we're not going to read it digitally. We're going to try and decipher it the way we used to do it when we were younger in another time and place. As you know, the smaller hand tells you the time, and it points to the number, and that is the number we would be saying. We would be saying, you know, right. We would be saying, es la una, son las dos, son las tres, son las cuatro, son las cinco, son las seis, son las siete, son las ocho, son las nueve, son las 10, son las 11, son las 12. The minute hand tells you the minutes, and we need to be able to count by fives. And we need to be able to multiply the number by 5 when you're giving a minute. So I'm going to say, usually if I give the time, I would say y, I would say and. Es la una y cinco. And imagine the big hand pointing to these. 5 y 10 y 15 y 20 y 25 y 30 y 35 y 40 y 45 y 50 y 55. And otherwise it would be just the time. So that is the basics, of course, of reading your clock, and hopefully you can practice, as I've said, the minutes in Spanish. However, we do need to introduce a couple things. Usually when we say the time in Spanish, and when we say let's say we're going to say son las dos y, let's move that, y 15, right? Another way to say it is son las dos, that's on 2 right there. Son las dos y cuarto. Cuarto means quart or quarter. It's a quarter of an hour. If you were to cut this into 4 pieces, it would be, the first 15 minutes would be a quarter of it, right? Or sometimes we say it's quarter to, it's quarter after. In Spanish, we say son las dos y cuarto, or we would say son las tres menos cuarto. And let's go over that pronunciation again. Cuarto, okay? Not to be confused with number 4, which is cuatro, cuatro, or cuatro. Cuarto, try to do that in Spanish. Cuarto or cuatro, cuatro. Okay, it's a little tongue twisty, but something we need to practice and say right, or we'll confuse people. The other thing is, Judah, can you show me half past the hour? Instead of saying y 30, when the minute hand is pointing at the 6, and we would say, let's say, es la una y media. It's like saying half past. It's half past 1, half past 2. It would look like, una y media would look like that. And then, of course, dos y media, tres y media, cuatro y media, cinco y media. Minute hand on the 6, we would say y media, not y 30. So those would be the 2 things. Otherwise, when we're telling time as well, if it's an AM, we say de la mañana. If it's a PM, we say es la una de la tarde. Son las dos de la noche. Let's say that, or actually we would say son las ocho de la noche. That would be 8 p.m. Son las 5 de la tarde. That'd be 5 p.m. of the afternoon, of the night. Es la una de la mañana. That means that's at 1 a.m. Right? If we have the clock pointing at the 12, then we'd say, and it's midday, it's noon, we'd say son las 12 del mediodía. And let's say it's midnight. we'd say son las 12 de la medianoche. Midnight, medianoche, media. Noon is midday, medio. So that's kind of how we say it. We'll be practicing some more, I think, on another video, but I wanted to go over just the basics of it. Hopefully I covered some helpful stuff, and then we're going to go over how we would say it when the clock when it's looking differently, how we would say each one. And we're going to practice that as well, because we're going to use that in our sentences. So get ready and practice. Be blessed.